The Boston Red Sox have to figure out a way to start winning games at home as they have now dropped the first two contests against the Baltimore Orioles.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and currently the host of the Boston Balling podcast, and I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed for free. That's right, you did hear it correctly. It is free, so might as well start your day off the right way and take advantage of that free situation and listen to Locked On Red Sox. Locked On is your team every day. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. Welcome to Locked On Red Sox, and it's a day full of frustration for Boston as the Red Sox dropped the second game of the series against the Orioles 7-5 at home, and this game looked very 2023 Boston Red Sox like. The team had a 5-0 lead going into the sixth inning and completely blew it and lost 7-5. That's totally something that last year's team did. And another thing that made this game resemble last year's team is that they just struggled at home. For some reason, the Red Sox did not play well at Fenway Park last year, and it's bringing back haunting memories to that. And this has not been a great couple days to honor the 2004 Red Sox team that was remembered during a ceremony on the home opener for making that miraculous comeback and winning the World Series. Lots of legends in the house that day at Fenway Park, and the Red Sox just could not do much at all, especially offensively. They only scored one run in the first game of the series. Offense did look a little bit better in game two, the 7-5 loss. Tristan Casas did launch a 2-run home run, so that was very promising. Connor Wong drove in a couple runs on a single. Tyler O'Neill reached on an infield single to second base early on in the game. And Jarren Duran was on first base. And you know he's super speedy and will always be in the habit of looking for extra bases. So O'Neill hit a light grounder to second base, but then it went by Jackson Holliday, the number one prospect in baseball, who was called up to the Orioles and made his debut on Wednesday night. And he made a defensive miscue. It happens, especially for a rookie who's making his major league debut that night. I mean, you have to cut the kid some slack, but he let the ball get past him. So because of that, Tyler O'Neill was safe, and Jarren Duran came all the way around from first base to score on a single. It was absolutely nuts. So the game was starting off well because that put the Red Sox up 1-0, and it got me really pumped because I was like, wow, Duran just is so athletic and truly, like I've said on a previous episode, could be the fastest man in the world. So things were starting off great. It was great to see Casas break out of his shell and hit that 2-run home run. Hopefully that fuels a lot more confidence for him moving forward and that he's able to really keep his foot on the gas the rest of this season because he has a ton of potential to be a cornerstone piece for this Boston Red Sox team in the first baseman of the future. He just needs to consistently be able to make good contact, and that was a great contact that he made on that ball. And the Red Sox were up 5-0 going into the sixth inning, and then things fell apart for them and they just never looked back. My whole thing is that a consistent mishap that the Red Sox have had so far this season is their defense. And that has primarily been in the last few days after Trevor Story went down with his shoulder injury and now will be missing the rest of the season because he needs surgery, unfortunately. He made the Red Sox infield look so much better defensively. And when he went down, now this defense as a whole looks a lot more like a mess. And it's not even just in the infield, the outfield too. Tyler O'Neill, who's a fantastic defender, made a blunder today, misplayed a ball, and it allowed the runners to advance to second and third when they should have been on first and second. And Tyler O'Neill definitely needs to take some time to get acclimated to Fenway Park, but it's almost like these guys as a whole are dealing with a little bit of a West Coast trip hangover where they played so well overall on that trip and they were riding this high, and now they come back and they just look really bad overall at Fenway in a variety of different areas. So either they need to figure things out at home because they have to get reacclimated to playing at Fenway in that environment, or they just are going to continue to not play well at home this year like they did last year. And that's disappointing because they cannot be successful if they don't figure out a way to win at Fenway Park. Another very surprising thing that went wrong for the Red Sox in the game was a rare bad outing for Chris Martin. He pitched 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, 4 runs, and 3 of them earned. He also walked 1 and struck out 2 batters. He did give up a home run, an absolutely crushed home run. And his command was all over the place in the entire inning. I wondered if Alex Cora was going to pull him as the inning was progressing because he couldn't seem to find the strike zone for the entirety of the inning, constantly giving up base runners, and as a result, it came back to bite him. And it just was pretty tough to watch because Chris Martin was one of the best relievers in baseball last year, and it was not very difficult for people to see that he could be trusted when he was out on the mound. Every time Chris Martin went out there last year, I was not worried. He was the true bridge guy to Kenley Jansen, and he got the job done. So every pitcher has the right to a bad outing. It happens to everybody. He's only human. But it was just definitely surprising to me because we're not used to seeing this from Chris Martin. His command was just all over the place. I'm not too concerned about it. I think he can bounce back next time that he's out there. But it was definitely something that was not great to see. And Isaiah Campbell also did not look that good either. So he gave up 3 earned runs as well and 4 hits over 1 inning pitched, 0 strikeouts and 0 home runs and 0 walks. But both of those 2 pitchers did not look that good. And Campbell had been off to a really good start for the Red Sox this year prior to this outing. So he came in the 6th inning and just looked kind of all over the place, just like Chris Martin. So 2 pitchers that were primarily responsible from a pitching standpoint of blowing this lead for Boston, and their defense also did not do them any favors once again. Cutter Crawford deserves some credit. He pitched 5 strong innings, giving up 2 hits and 0 earned runs. He did walk 4 batters, but struck out 6. He has an 0.57 earned run average. Unbelievable start to the season for Cutter, and he deserves credit for that. Yes, he had a problem with the walks on Wednesday night, but he was able to get out of the base traffic every single time. And if he did have runners on base, he would change his approach and be able to get out of it. And that's what makes for really good pitchers, is pitchers who are strong mentally and can get out of those situations where they put runners on base. So that was something I really like to see from him. He definitely has to get his command back a little bit more to the point where he's not running into trouble with the walks. But overall, good outing for him. And then things just completely fell apart from the 6th inning on. It was definitely a frustrating night overall for the Boston Red Sox. And it also just says a lot to how good this Orioles team is. I mean, we have to remember this Orioles team won the division last year and won 100 games. And I thoroughly expect that they'll win 100 games again at least. Corbin Burnes was kind of the missing piece that they needed to get back on track to being a legitimate World Series contending team. Their starting pitching was a bit of a concern last year. He's an ace. They went out and traded for an ace And now they're in a great position to repeat as division champs and also make a serious run for the World Series. Good teams make those kinds of runs. Good teams come back from being down 5-0 and win games. And that's something I would love to see the Red Sox do more often. But so far, this series has just shown me that the Orioles are a better team than the Red Sox, and the Red Sox are a little bit behind them. And the defensive errors are primarily the big thing to me. That's the biggest concern right now. Can they fix those as the season progresses? Can the pitching put itself together? This was something that we've been worried about going into the season, is what is the pitching situation going to look like? And so far, the starting pitching overall has been pretty good. So hopefully they can keep that up. Props to Cutter Crawford for holding what's a ridiculously difficult Orioles lineup. And I liked to see that from him. Hopefully it's only upwards from here for him. But the Red Sox overall, not a great performance on Wednesday. Coming up, though, I'm going to be talking about a bright side to the Red Sox game on Wednesday and a player who very much still has it. Life insurance is something that could be very complex, but it's also an important safety net for you and your family to have. I do understand, though, that trying to find the right policy that works for you on your own can be super time-consuming and overwhelming. That's why Policygenius is here to help you. It's the country's leading online insurance marketplace. With Policygenius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. It's a great way to ensure that you're getting the right plan that works for you, especially with how overwhelming these things in insurance can be. It's so convenient and time-saving. It helps you actually compare your options from top companies and their team of licensed experts on hand to help you talk through it. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB. Trust me, if you're trying to save time and figure out the best life insurance policy for you, you definitely will not be disappointed with Policygenius. If you struggle with cars or knowing what the right parts are that you need, eBay Motors will not disappoint you either. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. It really is so helpful, and it'll help you figure out everything you need for your car. So head to eBay Motors today. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Check out Locked On Sports today if you're trying to stay caught up in all things going on in sports. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. The Boston Red Sox performance on Wednesday night definitely could have disappointed you, as it disappointed me as well. I had high hopes going into this homestand. The Red Sox looked very good after coming off of the road trip in which they only dropped 3 contests, and a road trip like that can really define what a season could look like for a team, because going to the West Coast is extremely tough with the time change and the fatigue. And the Red Sox looked pretty good. And coming home, I said they're about to get seriously tested against a very, very good Orioles team that truly I feel like is going to win this division again. And sure enough, they're being tested and they're not exactly passing those tests. And I just hope that they can grab tonight's game and avoid getting swept in this series, because they need to win at least one game and keep that momentum going, and also just figure out how to win games at home. My gosh, this team is tough to watch at Fenway. I don't understand it. It's like they flip a switch playing at home. It's the weirdest thing in the world, and it happened last year too. And it's something I hope they can figure out very, very quickly. With all of the negatives from the game on Wednesday, there is a positive that can be taken away from it, in that Brennan Bernardino still has it. He pitched 2 innings, giving up just 1 hit and no runs. He also struck out 3 batters. He was called up prior to the home opener from AAA after Nick Pivetta was placed on the injured list. And to me, it was a surprise that he wasn't on the opening day roster in the first place. He was very good out of the Red Sox bullpen last year, and he had a lot of performances like he did on Wednesday night. He had a lot of performances in which he would come in and pitch very well in high leverage situations for the Red Sox, whether he would come in the middle of an inning because there was base traffic already on base, or he would come in to start an inning but needed to keep a game close in which the Red Sox were maybe up or down by a run or two. He needed to come in tonight and at least stabilize what was going on, because you go from having Isaiah Campbell and Chris Martin in there and both struggling to then bringing in Brennan Bernardino to pitch the last 2 innings and try to keep it a 7-5 game, which is exactly what he was trying to do to give the Red Sox hope to stay in the game. So Alex Cora brought him in a good spot for him to be in. And the good thing you can take away from this game is that Kenley Jansen didn't have to pitch in it, because he definitely could use as much rest time as he can get, with the fact that he wasn't fully healthy during the offseason. So hoping that he doesn't need to be overused this year would be key, especially because the Red Sox don't really have a backup closer. So he needs to be able to stay healthy. So I guess with the fact that the Red Sox were losing, that's another thing to take away from it, is at least Kenley Jansen was saved from being used again. So Brennan Bernardino comes in and absolutely shoves like I figured he would. He still has it, still looks very good, still was pitching at a high velocity, and still was challenging the hitters at the plate. Those Orioles hitters could not figure him out. And one thing I'm looking for moving forward from him is, will the Red Sox keep him on this roster? It makes sense for them to keep him on the roster. Joely Rodriguez has not pitched fantastic overall so far this season, and he was the lefty that the Red Sox kept on the opening day roster to pitch out of the bullpen. I mean, one lefty in the bullpen is already risky as it is, but to pick somebody who spent a lot of last season on the injured list instead of going with somebody who was proven, who pitched a lot last year and excelled in that role, is a tough argument to make. Like, it's tough for me to get behind that decision, and I said it from the start. Why are they not using Bernardino instead of Rodriguez? And now here we are sitting here. Bernardino looked very good in his first outing of the year at the major league level, and I'm sitting here once again saying keep him here, send Joely down, or DFA Joely Rodriguez. There's no real reason for him to be on this roster right now, because he has been one of the biggest liabilities out of the bullpen. And when you have a guy in Bernardino who you know what you're getting from him, you know that he's going to come out there and pitch well the majority of the time, he's the guy that you should be going to in the pen instead of Joely Rodriguez. So I'm looking at this and saying, are the Red Sox going to keep him up even when Pivetta comes back? Or are they going to send him back down to AAA? Is he going to be that guy that just gets pulled up and down all season long this year? I really hope not, because I think he's better than that, and I think he deserves better. But it's going to be interesting to see what decision the Red Sox do make when Pivetta does come off the injured list, because they are going to have to make some sort of move to make room again for him. And I would like that move to be that Joely Rodriguez is the one that gets the dismissal from the major league roster, whether that's going back down to AAA or him getting DFA'd. But they might not choose to do that. And I'm looking to see, okay, if the Red Sox decide to keep him, then maybe they bring somebody else down to AAA to give Bernardino a chance to stay up, because he should have been up the whole time, and he hasn't given the Red Sox a reason to not believe in him. I believed in him so often last season, and I believe in him still now. He still had the form, he still had the velocity, he still had the command. And he really looked like he didn't skip a beat from last year. Pitched 2 very strong, very easy innings for him. And I'm a big fan of him. And if you're trying to find any silver linings in the game, besides Casas crushing a home run, at least you can walk away from it saying Brennan Bernardino still has it, and he still is a guy the Red Sox can rely on consistently out of this bullpen. I just want him to have the opportunity to do that and stay here. And definitely curious to see what happens with the other starters, especially now with Nick Pavetta's injury and him being on the IL. Is everybody else is going to have to step up, and there is going to be somebody who's called up in his place. Is that going to be Cooper Criswell? Most likely he was somebody who was in talks to potentially be a starter come opening day on the Major League roster, and he started the season in AAA, so he would likely be the candidate who gets called up to be part of this rotation until Nick Pivetta is healthy. So that's another factor in the pitching here that the Red Sox are going to have to figure out. But at this point right now, I would like them to keep Bernardino up in the majors because he deserves it. He's trustworthy. He hasn't given me any reasons at all to not trust him. So hopefully the Red Sox feel the same way, because I really liked what I saw from him on Wednesday, and I hope that that can continue for him. He didn't fluctuate much last year at all, wasn't very up and down, stayed pretty much consistently the same pitcher, and it was a very good pitcher. So hopefully that continues this year as long as the Red Sox do keep him on the roster, which I feel like would be a pretty easy decision to keep him, because even though they were losing this game, they could have been up by a run. And wouldn't it be nice to have a guy in there who has been proven to be trustworthy? That's how I would feel. So I would keep Bernardino in there, give him the opportunities to pitch in high leverage moving forward. So hopefully the Red Sox do make that decision. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about a player who's just now starting to get his feet wet in the major leagues. He was called up due to Trevor Story's injury, so I'm going to be talking about things I've noticed about him next. Are you trying to get into sports betting, or are you super into it already and haven't tried FanDuel yet? If so, you're missing out, and FanDuel is the place for you. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL, baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. FanDuel really is a great way to bet on a lot of different sports and win tons of money in the process. My fiance can speak to that firsthand. So if you're looking to win lots of money, head to FanDuel today. Also, head to Locked On Sports today, as we as a network have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. This is great for the network because nobody else has this. Locked On is the only network to have a 24/7 sports streaming channel. So if you're looking to stay caught up in all things going on in sports, Locked On certainly is the place for you. So Trevor Story suffered a really serious shoulder injury when diving for a really nice play in one of the games last week, and it was really scary to watch because after he attempted to make the play, he could not get up, could not move, and then when he was helped off the field by the trainers, he could not move his arm. And it was heartbreaking because Trevor Story puts so much heart into this game. I don't know if you saw the interview with him from yesterday when he was talking about his injury and how upsetting it is for him. If it's upsetting for you, it's a lot more upsetting for him. he knows that he hasn't been able to stay healthy since being in Boston, and he knows that this is heartbreaking. And he just wanted to be out there and have a fully healthy season this year and prove to Red Sox fans that he could be the player that they want him to be. And it's very heartbreaking hearing him say things like, it's a tough game. I knew it was bad. I just dedicate so much of my time and my heart to this game. And he was crying while saying it. It was very heartbreaking. And I wish absolutely nothing but the best for his recovery process this year. I hope the surgery goes smoothly and he's able to recover well and be back next year and have a monster season for Boston. It's just very, very heartbreaking to see. And so when the Red Sox found out he was going to be out for the season, they had to figure out a way to deal with the infield. They were already platooning Pablo Reyes and Emmanuel Valdez at second base due to Vaughn Grissom being injured. So the plan was to continue to platoon those two at second base primarily, and then they called up David Hamilton to take Trevor Story's place at shortstop, but they also gave Romy González a shot, who's an infielder in the Red Sox system, just to see how he does. And he was in the lineup on Wednesday night for the Red Sox. He did go 1 for 3. He recorded a hit in the game. He also took a walk. And so there were two things I noticed about him and his plate approach. Patience. He was willing to wait for his pitch, and that's exactly what he did. He did take a walk, which shows that he is willing to wait around if he doesn't find the right pitch for him. And two, that he can be aggressive at the same time. So he was finding a good balance of being disciplined and waiting for the pitch that he should be swinging at, and also being aggressive and not being afraid to really attack the ball when it comes, which is why he was able to get a base hit and get himself on base. So offensively, I definitely noticed a couple promising things. Super small sample size already so far. He needs to show some more at the plate and show some more consistency. Maybe he already has that automatic plate discipline, which would be huge because it would help with his development process significantly. But it's definitely something I noticed about those few at-bats that he did take on the night. And defensively, he didn't do anything that was really bad. He made a couple nice plays, and he was going through the routine plays effectively. And the routine plays are the ones that are supposed to be easy. They call it a routine ground ball if the fielder should be able to easily make the play and throw it to the base and make it out. It's a play that, when going through the motions, any infielder should be able to make. So those routine plays he was making, and that does say a lot because the Red Sox defense last year was not making a lot of the routine plays. Rafael Devers is an example of this. He's somebody who could make a lot of the fancy plays in the infield, but wasn't able to make the routine plays as much. So that was something that Gonzalez did well, was he was making the plays he was supposed to be making. He was in the spot he was supposed to be in, and he wasn't making a lot of defensive errors like some other players on the team on Wednesday. And that's a good sign. Obviously, again, with the Red Sox, we need to see more time and more from him to really draw a conclusion on what he's going to be. But I say give him the reps at shortstop until he shows you that he shouldn't be getting those reps. Because David Hamilton has been a problem defensively. He's been struggling. Yes, he's very fast, but he hasn't made a whole lot of contact at the plate, and he's been struggling defensively. So if you don't want David Hamilton to play as consistently, I say continue to put Gonzalez in the lineup and give him a shot until he proves that he can't cut it. Because David Hamilton has struggled playing shortstop, and the Red Sox are almost doing him a disservice by continuing to have him play there and forcing it, because it's becoming clearer and clearer that he can't handle and hack that position of playing shortstop at the major league level. So why not try to put somebody else in there? And maybe if you want to give Hamilton another shot, maybe add him into the second base mix, have him platoon a little bit there, because maybe playing second base, he would find more success, because the shortstop is such an important position. And with Trevor Story not being there, we don't want to be in a situation where we're missing too much and we are finding that we're in a position where the Red Sox are playing too bad of defense, or they're forcing it with somebody like David Hamilton when it's not necessarily working for him at that position. So I feel like, based on what I saw on Wednesday, No big defensive miscues, was in the right place at the right time, was making those routine plays. At the plate, definitely made himself a little bit known by recording a hit, taking a walk, not generating a lot of swinging and missing. So he definitely has the right mentality and the right basis to be able to be successful. It's just a matter of, can he actually find that success in the majors, and can he stay consistent to the point where the Red Sox can go to him and rely on him when they need somebody to come in big at the shortstop position. So that's something we're still trying to figure out with Gonzalez. What kind of player is he going to be? But for now, just even in that small sample size, I've already seen more from him than what I've seen from David Hamilton. So why not give him more of a shot? See what he can do. Put him into the mix and have him prove that he deserves to be there, because I feel like the Red Sox might not be disappointed, or at least won't be as disappointed as they are with Hamilton. And I do feel badly for Hamilton. He's kind of gotten the raw end of the stick because he got called up prematurely last year due to Red Sox player injuries and was forced into a situation when he clearly wasn't ready and needed more reps at AAA. So that automatically placed some pressure on him that he didn't need. And when he got called up, Red Sox fans then expected him to automatically be very good. And now, because he's gotten exposure to the majors, the Red Sox think he might be able to handle more than he can. So he truly never got the right kind of development that he should have. I think it was a rushed process when they called him up when they did, because they felt backed into a corner and didn't really have a choice. So it's nice that we were able to see something from him and see what he has and doesn't have. But it's become clear that he's just not ready to play shortstop at the major league level. So try mixing it up. So I'm glad we saw Romy González when we did. And I'm glad he was able to showcase some of his skills for Boston. So we'll see what happens with him and with the Red Sox as they try to avoid getting swept by the Baltimore Orioles. As always, though, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.